Greetings, everyone.
Good evening.
Y'all need to smile or something. Y'all look like a bunch of sardines stuck in a can. Turn my mic on. They ought not turn that mic off like that.
Okay.
But Christians are not sticks in the mud. I used to think that. When I first started going to church, I went to this church and I always sat on the back row. You know, in case I had to make a quick getaway. And my first time of going to church, I was not a Christian. I want y'all to understand that. My wife had been aggravating me, come to church, come to church. And if I just told her to shut up about it. When I get ready, I'll let you know. Well, every Saturday night before I went to bed, she asked me, she says, you going to church in the morning? I told her no, that was the end of the conversation. And the answer was no for years. And finally, one morning, she asked me one Saturday night, I went down to my hunting club, and I come close to getting killed down there on the hunting club, okay? Some fellas shot at me. I'll go ahead and tell that story. It was on a Saturday afternoon. We dog driving on a hunting club down in Barnwell, South Carolina. Late in the afternoon, in a stand of pines there. The sun's going down over here. The road's back here, and they put me on a stand about 20 yards into the woods. And this truck comes riding by, and they're looking dead into the sun at me, and they just saw something move. And they jumped off the truck, 4 of them, shotguns in hand, and they opened fire on me. Now, this is where the miraculous starts happening. They cut limbs out of the tree that I was standing next to. My bucket that I sat on when I deer hunt, they shot it. They shot my hat, but not one piece of shot hit me. Well, when those guns went off, I started getting vocal, screaming. I cannot repeat what I told them.
Was that BC days?
Yes. And I think I made some kind of comment about their parents being of canine descent. And that their parents were not married when they were born either. So they took off running. One of them actually dropped his gun in the middle of the road. Well, when they took off to run instead of coming to check on me, that made me even madder. So I says, I'll fix them. I threw my gun up, snapped the safety off, drew a bead in the back of one of them as they was turning to run. And I pulled the trigger. My gun would not go off. Snapped my safety on and off again. I'm not crazy. I know how to shoot my own gun. Drew a bead on him as he's climbing up on the back of the truck. The trigger would not pull on the gun. They drove away. And I just stood there watching. Looked down at my gun, pulled the trigger, and the gun went off. God kept me from killing a man that day, shooting him in the back. God protected me that day because he knew something better was coming. So my wife, that night when I went home and went to bed, my wife asked me, says, are you going to church in the morning? I said, yes. I'm going to church in the morning. Well, she go, huh? So what time do you want to get up? How did you up? I'm going to fix you breakfast. Anyway, went to church the next morning, and I went into this church, and I sat down on the back row.
My spot.
And there was a feller come in. I didn't know him at the time. He's gone on to be with the Lord now, and I'm going to use his name because he knows. His name was Riley Huckabee, Reverend Riley Huckabee. And he walks in, and he sits down beside me and says, hello, and puts his arm around me. I'm not saved, okay? And little does this man know, I've also got a pistol in my pocket. And this man's got his arm around me, and all he said is hello, and I'm thinking, is he gay? What, am I going to have to cut this man off of me? Am I going to have to shoot him off of me? What is going on with this? Please don't put your arm around non-Christian people when you go into church and you don't know them. You don't know what's going through their mind. And you don't know what they got in their pocket. finally he got up and left, and I was ever so glad of that. But anyway, later on, me and Riley became very good friends, and like I said, he's gone on to be with the Lord now. But he just loved people. But you don't lay hands suddenly on people that are not Christians. So, you know, we get used to that in the church. You know, and we put our arms around each other, we hug each other, we love each other, and all that's good. But if some stranger walks into your congregation and sits down, do not walk over and put your arm around him. You know, just speak to him first. You know, hi, my name's whoever. But don't put your arms around him, because you never can tell what you can't tell about people. See, I come real close to probably shooting that man that morning, because I think I had my hand on my pistol at one time. Hey, in fact, the first 6 months that I went to church, I carried that pistol with me every time. It used to go with me everywhere I went. I didn't play well with others. So, you know, and there was certain business transactions that took place that required, you know, to be prepared, you know, because you carry cash a lot of times. But anyway, so that was my introduction to church. But, you know, I've looked back over that over the years. I still remember very vividly that blue Chevrolet truck with tall, big tires on it. He had about 33s on it. And this one guy in a striped shirt jumping off of the truck and with his shotgun. And when I hollered back at him, he dropped it. And I drew a bead dead in the back of that yellow and black striped shirt. And God kept me from killing him. Because had I done that, I probably wouldn't be here tonight. So everything has a plan. God has a plan for you. And you may not understand it at the time. See, I was really mad. We went to the sheriff. Listen here. This is the truck. This is the license plate number. And these guys have guns, and I've tried, and I told that police officer, I tried my best to kill that man. But the gun wouldn't go off. And he's looking at me like, idiot, what are you doing, you know? But God has a better plan, and God has a plan for you. Don't ever think that you're not making a difference. We just talked about this a few minutes ago, and this is what this is all about tonight. It's making a difference. Amen. See, because I don't know whatever happened to that guy in that yellow and black striped shirt. The police said they couldn't find the truck, even though I had a tag number. I got the feeling that they were probably the teenage sons of some prominent people in the area, possibly the sheriff himself, I'm not sure. But there they were, and I don't know what's happened to them, but I hope that since the one in the striped shirt had a second chance at life that day, the same as I did, that God done something miraculous in his life and is using him. That's been my prayer. And you can't ever tell. I may have run into him some other time, but I wouldn't recognize him by face if he walked up to me and slapped me. Of course, down south, you know, that's not cool anyway, to slap people. But I won't do that. But anyway, just remember, when things are not going your way, don't give up. See, my wife told me last week I wasn't very funny last week. I told her I didn't have to be funny every week.
Come on, bro.
It was my intention to get up here and share an evangelical entertainment. I like to tell stories, and stories are a good way of getting the point across. And these aren't just stories, these are things that happened to me. This is my life. You know, I look at my life probably a little different than everybody else looks at it, and they go, well, I'm glad I'm not him. You know, there's been mornings I woke up and thought that same thing. Boy, I wish I wasn't him. But the man who meets me in the mirror every morning, you know, I got to be him, you know. So it's my life, and I share my stories with you in hopes that maybe it touches something in you out there in internet land, you know, all over the world. I hope that some of these stories touch you and brings back memories. See, last week we talked about memories of your first car. Somebody told me tonight they had an old Henry J was their first car. Man, we don't even know what a Henry J is.
It was a good car.
I don't even know what a Henry. And then he started talking about a Studebaker. Well, now I saw a Studebaker the other day out on Martin Neves Road. A red one, yeah. So I know what a Studebaker is, but I don't know what a Henry J is. Is it a Jeep or a Ford? Or?
Car, man.
It's a car. Anyway, you learn things.
Hey.
Hopefully it'll touch you.
You said you had a large sum of money. What were you doing selling the Girl Scout cookies?
Yes. Yes. I'm like Richard Pryor in some ways. You know, he got caught on fire and he had his chocolate chip cookies. He dipped it in his milk and stuff just blew up on him, you know. And sometimes, you know, I was selling my Girl Scout cookies and we had large sums of money with us, automatic weapons anyway. But God is taking me away from that and taking that all away from me. Y'all have a blessed night. Good night.